Hello, friends. President Biden has decided to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's talk about it.
Joe Biden making American history with an act of profound political and personal sacrifice. 3.5 years into his presidency, President Joe Biden stepping down from his re-election bid in favor of his Vice President Kamala Harris. I've been processing this for 5 hours already, and it still gives me chills to say it. In the instant he announced it at 1:46 p.m. this afternoon, everything changed. Everything changed. The Democratic Party instantly ends its internal war, this emotional, intense, harrowing fight that has torn the party apart for the past 3.5 weeks. That is over in an instant. The expectation among Democrats, which was being voiced more and more openly in recent days, the expectation that the Democratic Party was in for a historic wipeout in November, with not just the White House in danger, but the House and the Senate in danger as well, that expectation evaporates also in an instant. With President Biden voicing a strong and unequivocal endorsement of his Vice President, Kamala Harris, with Vice President Harris confirming immediately that she is running, saying we have 107 days until Election Day. Together we will fight and together we will win, with no resulting ambiguity about who will be the Democratic Party's nominee and what is the task at hand for that nominee and for the party. The little scratchy, papery sound you're hearing in the distance? That's every Democratic donor in the country writing the biggest check they have ever written in American politics. In an instant, the old era is over and the new era is here. It is go time. Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in 2020 in an election in which Trump refused to accept the result and tried to stay in power by the use of violent force. Trump has since been convicted of 34 felonies and is awaiting sentencing on those charges. He's facing up to 4 years in prison. He has been found liable for committing sexual assault. He owes literally hundreds of millions of dollars in civil penalties for massive fraud at his business. His business has been found criminally guilty of business fraud, and he owes hundreds of millions of dollars in a civil fraud case. He is the subject of a felony RICO indictment in the state of Georgia. He is also facing federal criminal charges. He is now 78 years old and gives speeches of such rambling incoherence that even his most ardent superfans start wandering off or checking their phones by the time he starts talking about sharks and shower heads and how beautiful you would think he looks if he were to take his clothes off. He just picked a 39-year-old running mate who most Americans do not know and who has basically no record in public service. As people are Googling Donald Trump's new unknown running mate, the first thing most of them are learning about him is that he is deeply committed to a nationwide ban on abortion. Nationwide. He is the protege of an eccentric right-wing tech billionaire who is against women having the right to vote and who says he's against democracy. The right-wing groups that have championed this guy for Trump's running mate are the authors of the Project 2025 policy blueprint you have heard so much about. The policy blueprint for what the Republicans plan to do if they do succeed in getting Trump and now Vance back into the White House. A national abortion ban is just the start. Try cracking down on birth control and fertility treatment. Try banning pornography. Try defunding the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. Say goodbye to the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency and the FDA. Really, the Food and Drug Administration. Because who among us doesn't want to think we're buying aspirin, but it turns out to be rat poison? Republicans and Trump himself had been uncharacteristically disciplined when it came to commenting on this very difficult knockdown, drag-out fight within the Democratic Party over these last few weeks. The concerns about President Biden showing his age. Republicans were being very reticent, very disciplined about not talking about that because they were crossing their fingers and hoping that President Biden would stay in. Expecting that President Biden was going to stay in, they were measuring the drapes, looking at the polls and bragging about their sure, absolutely guaranteed victory. What Trump's pollster last week said was between 20 and 25 different paths to victory in the electoral map. He said after we got to about 25 different paths to victory, we stopped counting. They have been so sure. President Biden, perhaps cannily, waiting until the supremely self-confident Republican side locked in their ticket. Waiting until Trump picked the most radical, the most ideologically extreme, and even eccentric choice for his running mate. Waited until that was locked in, and then today, 1:46 p.m., boom. Today, Donald Trump's remarkable recent run of political good luck came to an end.
In his announcement, Biden endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee for the 2024 election. Harris, who has served as Biden's vice president since 2021, is now positioned as the leading candidate to take on Trump in the general election. Biden expressed his confidence in Harris, highlighting her experience and capability to lead the party and the country. Biden's withdrawal has significant implications for the Democratic Party. With Biden stepping down, the party must quickly rally around a new candidate. While Harris is the immediate frontrunner, other potential candidates like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and California Governor Gavin Newsom may also emerge as contenders. The process of replacing Biden on the ballot poses legal challenges and requires swift action to ensure a smooth transition. The Democratic National Convention, scheduled for mid-August, will be a critical moment for the party to solidify its new ticket. The reaction to Biden's announcement has been mixed. While some Democrats have expressed relief and optimism about the party's chances with a new candidate, others are concerned about the tight timeline and the potential for internal divisions. The upcoming months will be crucial as the Democratic Party navigates this unexpected turn of events and prepares for a high-stakes election against a formidable opponent in Donald Trump. President Joe Biden's decision to step down from the 2024 presidential race marks a significant moment in American political history. His endorsement of Kamala Harris sets the stage for a potentially historic election, with the first female vice president now vying to become the first female president. As the Democratic Party scrambles to regroup and present a united front, the 2024 election promises to be one of the most unpredictable and closely watched in recent memory.